Yeah, you may sit. The ayes were 81 and the noes were 88, so the motion is defeated, and I think Emily got the microphone.
I think that most of us have pondered this in our heads maybe day and night, and try to educate ourselves as best we can. I think we're all concerned, we all care, we all want to see guidelines, and we all want to see a community that has oversight and supervision and law in place to protect where we live, not just our water, but our roadways, our rural residential areas. We're all in favor of that. The complications of this, I think, are so enormous that it's very difficult for any of us who don't have the education or the background to understand the dimensions of and legality and the legalese of these kind of things. To come to meetings and contribute is very difficult because the complexities really diminish your ability to understand, even to answer basic questions. That's not saying people don't care. That's just saying that the breadth and depth of this is extremely complex for most of us to really grasp. My issue primarily is not the right or wrongness of what you're trying to do. And with all due respect to those who have contributed hours of time and effort, I think it's small town America that to have a multi-trillion, billion-dollar corporation on top of a community of 3,000 people is in itself, it's daunting. And so you can look at this from many, many perspectives and still come up, in my case, afraid, angry, annoyed, frustrated, and every meeting I've been to, that's what I've seen at the end of the meeting, is anger, frustration, questions not answered. With all due credit to Mr. Berghoffen, he certainly is skillful and articulate, and sometimes I think his ability with the language sometimes sidesteps and circumvents the questions that are on the floor to the point where people heard what he said and don't know what he said. And I take issue with that. That does not lead to the public's awareness of someone who's trying to cooperate with them and do things in their best interest. So, to get to my real point, I guess, the issue here, I think, is, as it is nationally and at every other level, seems to be the question of the public's trust, and the public's trust of the process, how the process is delivered, and you can make a legal case in a court of law. But in the court of public opinion in small town America, one of those burdens of proof you have is to engender the public's trust. And I'm not trusting, not because I don't trust the individuals, but I'm not trusting when I have an ordinance in front of me and I don't know what the fine print means or says. And I guess the finality is that I want to see something and know that when and if this ordinance is challenged in Portland or in any other arena, that the taxpaying public is considered first over the bulk water haul. I want to know that. We're entitled to that. And I think if the planning board, again with all due respect to the planning board, but last October, the planning board had an opportunity in an ordinance. They had a lot of latitude in that, obviously, to put a trucking facility in East Freiburg. So if they had that much latitude, then they certainly had the latitude to consider defacing and defiling the land, and they could have taken the part of the people who live here and followed some gross marketing rules that the state funds for the development of public lands, and to consider and respect that environment instead of adding access to Poland Springs access that you can't do anything about. They had a choice to do something about that. When that happened, they forced a group of people to defend themselves in court at the cost of thousands of dollars out of pocket. But I consider that's the planning board's job to defend the public trust. So, in some way, if you're trying to engender the public trust, you don't do something like that that betrays the public's trust, that their interests come first. You don't breach the faith that they have in you. You try to be true to what this community offers, and that's rural residential life. And when you betray And we already feel like we've been betrayed by Poland's from being here in the first place because of what I think is personally just greed and was planned, and I take exception to that morally and ethically. But this to me looks like count 3. Betrayed once, betrayed twice by our planning board, and now coming back here again and saying, trust us this time, this is for you. And we're going to protect you and defend you and help you and all these things. Now when you come here to us, then you owe us, as representatives of the community that we respect and that we trust, you owe us honesty, integrity, consideration, and concern. Not control, regulation, monitoring. There's only 3,000 of us and we've got 1 vote. We've got 1 vote. And we want to know that it's in our best interests. And I just think that however the selectmen deal with this, and I don't see any other way. If you ask a lot of people, then maybe you get a lot of answers. But truly, it seems to me, it feels to me, like the public needs to have an attorney who represents them and what they want. I just want to know, unlike October and East Friday, I want to know if the tax-paying public, their lands, their interests, their opportunities now and in the future are respected, and that they come first, and that all these trucks that haul in and out of here day after day come second.